Hello, Internet.
So you want to enter the world of programming. You sign up for a class and they showed you a little program and it confused the hell out of you. But you heard the instructor use the term programmer and developer. You ask one of your smart friends who happen to work in the field, what's the difference between programmer and developer? And he said,
well, you see, programmers, they program, and developers, they develop.
But you were not satisfied. So you set out to go on an adventure to find answers. You can't make any decisions on whether or not you should continue this class until you have a final and definite answer. Well, let me help you. I went through the process and I have an answer. But before I tell you the difference, I want to tell you about my quest and how I got my answers in the first place. You see, I went to school to become an electrical engineer. Since I was a kid, I loved fixing things. Every time my father called a technician to repair an AC or satellite dish, he would tell me to tag along. And then we would never need to call a technician again for that particular thing. Naturally, when I grew up, I found myself in college studying to be an engineer. So one semester, I stumbled into a JavaScript class, which was the easiest programming class you can take, and I fell in love instantly. The following semester, I took server-side programming and it was the worst class in the world, or had the worst teacher, one of the two. So I dropped out of school, took my newfound skill, and went on to become a programmer. Yes, programmer. My main job consisted to write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But because there were so few developers, I ended up using PHP in the company, building logic and stuff. And just like that, I learned these two words, programmer and developer. And apparently I was holding both positions at the same time. Over the years, every company I worked in loosely interchanged the two terms, and they also threw in a few more. As far as I can remember, I heard programmer, developer, coder, nerds, computer guy, software architect, software engineer, software technician, smart guy, digitalist, just engineer, and weirdly, Skinner. Even though each of these could be used to define a very specific thing, they were used to refer to the one and same job, that of the guy that turned your demands into code. I thought that maybe I wasn't persistent enough and that there is a difference, and if I just search hard enough, I would find my answers. So I went on to the wise community of Reddit and summoned Redditors. What is the difference between a programmer and a developer? Some talked about how developers are smarter because they don't just type code, they develop an application. They have a vision, you see, while programmers are just typing monkeys, doing whatever you tell them to. In other words, programmer is an intern who will develop into a developer eventually.
That's preposterous.
Some of my most senior coworkers had the title programmer proudly hanging under their name on their desk. They're not interns. So no, Reddit, you are wrong. Dissatisfied, I went to the even wiser community of Hacker News, and they, in all their wisdom, told me just what I wanted to hear. Quote, computer programmer is a term that basically anybody will understand if you tell them that's what you do. Developer, software engineer, or I run a software company will often get you a blank stare when you quote it to regular people in answer to, what do you do for a living? You'll have to follow up with, I program computers anyway. So you might as well just start with that when meeting people at a party. End quote. In other words, you only use the term programmer if you are talking to someone who isn't technical. And make sure you say computer programmer so they don't get confused. And developer is a term you use in your resume so that your future employer don't think you are a noob. Now I was happy with the answer. I immediately updated my LinkedIn resume to say, Elastic Software Engineering Architect specializing in cubic semantic analysis. Who wouldn't hire me with that title? So to answer the question, what is the difference between a programmer and the developer? The answer is simple. None. They are synonyms. Whether your title is one or the other, your job will consist of doing the same thing. If you are talking to regular people not familiar with computer science, use the word computer programmer so you don't have to explain the stuff you actually do. The software world can be very intimidating, and you can be a programmer working on the web and have no clue what shaders are, or you can be an Android developer and have no clue how kernel programming works. But at the end of the day, you are still a programmer. Developer. Well, you can be whatever you put your mind to. So maybe you are not satisfied with my answer and still want to climb the mountains to find the answer. Maybe you should do that. But remember, that little program that confused the hell out of you in class will still be there waiting for you. The answers you find will not make it any easier. So save yourself a trip and get on with it. My name is Ibrahim. Thank you for watching this video, and if you want to see more of those, please subscribe. Thank you.